I know this is ironic from someone who has basically made a channel off playing a gacha, but bear with me. I would like to tell you all a little story. This video is going to be more of a podcast type / storytelling video, so I'm just going to throw some Fire Emblem Heroes footage in the background to play while I talk to you guys. Maybe we'll do Aether Raid's defenses or something like that. It's probably already playing, you'll see how it is. So, over the past couple weeks, we hit 2,000 subscribers, which is a crazy milestone I honestly never thought I'd reach through doing Fire Emblem content. Through my Berkut showcase, a lot of people have actually found the channel and commented, and one of the things that kind of stood out to me was the response to my orb count in one of my community posts where I showed that I pulled Berkut. A lot of you asked how I got so many orbs, how much money I spend on the game, how I have so much self-control, and my favorite of all the comments, whether or not I can donate some orbs to you. And I figured maybe I can tell a little bit of a personal story as to how I got to be the player that I am today and why I have so many orbs in the first place. This is the story of how Gachas actually ruined my life. It all started back in 2014. I had recently gotten an internship to go spend a couple months in Washington, D.C., a city where I had grown up when I was younger. But at this time, all my previous childhood friends had left the area, and I was back in a city that was so familiar to me, yet so foreign at the same time. I was pretty lonely, and I begun to look for things to do. Old school RuneScape had just launched itself out of nowhere to my joy, so I played that for a bit. But I didn't have anything to kill time with while I was commuting, during lunch break at work, or, bathroom time? Anyways, this is when I actually stumbled upon my first gacha game, through a random advertisement on Facebook, and that game was Brave Frontier. I was immediately hooked on the allure of resource management, building diverse teams, and the easy and quick access gameplay designed to play in short bursts. I had no idea what the gacha mechanic was. The game was still young and thus very sustainable in a free-to-play way. I loved the game, and I played it quite a lot. That is, until my 2 months of internship were up. Then I quickly packed my bags, went back to college, and immediately reintegrated with my friends in sports activity groups, where I quickly forgot about the game. Fast forward from then on over to 2016, I had yet another internship opportunity, except this time in Chicago. In January. Yeah. Unlike DC, I had never been to Chicago in my life. I knew nothing about it. But this time, I had remembered that old game that I found back in 2014, and I quickly ran back to it. It wasn't enough, though. I found myself cooped up inside, evading the frigid winters and the longer periods of time, and I needed more. And that's when, once again, through the power of Facebook, I found my second gacha, Final Fantasy Record Keeper. Little did I know that this would be the first of many straws that would pile on to eventually break the camel's back. 2016, that was the year that gachas ruined my life. Fast forward again, the month ends, and I go back to college where I'm getting ready to graduate actually this time, except I didn't stop playing the gachas this time around. In fact, during my very graduation, I found myself taking out my phone to pull on one of the new powerful units in Brave Frontier, Azurai. I still remember to this day I went in for 13 pulls, it was like 65 gems deep, and feeling that rush and getting this new, obscenely powerful unit. And I attribute it all to being the gift for my graduation from college, as a reward for this milestone in my life. I didn't think about the knowledge I had acquired, the degree I worked hard to earn, the relationships and experience I had formed along the way. No. All I thought about was going home to play with my newfound pixel toy on my phone. And sometimes that's okay. But in this case, I let it blind me, who I'm generally a social and outgoing person, from experiencing a day in my life that I'll never be able to relive. I'll never get that day back. But I actually don't regret it, because now I know better. So what happens next, you might ask? How do only 2 gachas ruin someone's life? Yeah, trust me, we're only halfway through 2016 at this point. The next half is the worst half. And if you're wondering where Fire Emblem Heroes comes in, it does eventually, but we're moving in chronological order. So I moved back to my hometown at this point, and back in with my parents while I picked up a 1-year job to start setting me up with work experience. I figured this would be a chill year to hang out with my family and a bunch of old returning high school friends who had either never left or had since come back to work in the area. But my job left me once again with a lot of free time, and my friends' jobs didn't. And so I needed something to do to fill even more free time that I had to myself these days. And what better to look for than, you guessed it, another gacha. Except this time it was different. First I found Final Fantasy Brave Exvius. Then I found Puzzle and Dragons. Then Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links came out. You can see how that spiraled out of control. I'd wake up on weekends and do dailies for 3 hours straight. On some weekends I'd sit there grinding every event in each game hardcore so I didn't have to miss out on the free-to-play currency, since I didn't really want to pay for it with any real money. And then, finally it happened. I had a group of friends over at my house near the end of December of 2016. I was grinding out one of the events on Duel Links to get one of the new duelists. I think it was Merrick, or maybe it was Pegasus. I can't remember. Anyways, one of my friends turns around to me and he says, "Hey man, are you gonna start talking to us again? Or are you just gonna chill around us while you play games on your phone all the time?" And that's when I realized he was absolutely right. I'd become so engrossed by the quick and easy playstyle that gachas seemingly market towards being, but in reality they draw you in for gameplay that is more complex and more time-consuming than it seems. And we justify this behavior by saying, yeah, I can just set the game down and resume whenever I want. And yet, we find ourselves spending hours upon hours playing one gacha, let alone 5 to 6 at the same time like I was. So it was on that day that I decided, come 2017, on the new year, I'm quitting all of my gachas. And they lived happily ever after. Wait, I know what you're all saying. Hey, that's cheating, you still play Heroes. Why, yes, actually, yes I do. And as a matter of fact, that's the gameplay you're watching now. Look, I did succeed in quitting all my gachas. I actually deleted them all off my phone on New Year's Day of 2017. But Fire Emblem is my favorite franchise of all time, and to pass this up, I just couldn't bring myself to do it. So I decided to make a single exception, and have my gameplay time be very controlled. I had learned from my previous experiences with gachas that you need to save in-game currency to get powerful units, but instead I chose to apply that logic here to get units that I liked. Well, that works out well, doesn't it? They just never add the units that I like into the game, so I have a ton of orbs. Haha! No, in all seriousness, this game isn't as whale heavy, and you can very easily do well in the game's competitive modes with your favorites if you focus and save up to +10 them. Or you can kinda just chill out and you don't really lose out on much in terms of rewards while trying to satisfy your Fire Emblem collector's itch. This game was also responsible for introducing me to a host of both content creators and Fire Emblem community members who are a pleasure to interact with on a daily basis. So, I suppose to end this ramble on a more positive note, while gachas did consume a lot of my life in 2016, I did eventually learn from this, and now I use them to spur me positively, both in forming new relationships with people online through this game, as well as developing a skill set I never had before in making videos and editing them. But I will forever be wary of the predatory mechanics of gachas getting you addicted to both the rush of gambling as well as the daily routine of playing. These are pretty dangerous behaviors, I'm not gonna lie. They force their way into your life and get you accustomed to doing certain things on the regular. Take a look at yourself. Do you find yourself logging into Fire Emblem Heroes every day? Do you find yourself logging into it every day first thing in the morning? Do you find yourself logging into it every day at the same time? These are all routines that we might not be aware of, but that have cemented themselves into our lives. It's not necessarily a bad thing, especially if you can control it, but I think it's something we need to pay attention to and be wary of for sure. Anyways, I hope this wasn't too long of a ramble for you guys. I've just kind of wanted to get this experience off my chest for a while and out there so that maybe some people can learn from my experience or even share their own dark experiences due to gachas. I know I'm not the only one out there. So feel free to leave a comment below letting me know what your feelings about gachas are and how you've handled them, or share this video with someone who might appreciate it or you think needs a rude awakening. I hope you all have a wonderful day, or night, wherever you are in the world, and I will see you all in the next video very soon. This has been Link King 7, signing out.